The New Century Global Center is a triumph of engineering. At 1.76 million square meters, nothing on Earth is bigger under a single roof. It cost $10 billion to build, and it was completed in just 3 years. Inside this building, you'll find a real sand beach with artificial waves, 1,100 kilometers from the nearest ocean. Seeing this building rise above Chengdu, it's hard to get a true sense of its unbelievable scale. This building is so massive, we need to show it in comparison. Almost 3 Pentagon buildings would fit inside, or 20 Sydney Opera Houses, or 318 American football fields. In whatever city in the world you place it, from New York to London to Tokyo, this building would utterly dominate the skyline. But 4 months before opening, the billionaire owner vanished. Over 50 government officials were detained, and when it finally opened, there was no ceremony, no celebration, because the government sent no one. This is the world's largest single-structure building. To truly understand this building, you need to walk through it. Start with the roof. It's inspired by the flight of seagulls and the gentle rise and fall of ocean waves. A massive glass and steel barrel vault stretching 500 meters end-to-end, longer than 5 city blocks, covered entirely in curtain wall glass. The steel structure spans 200 meters east to west and 400 meters north to south. That's roughly the span of a major suspension bridge, except it's holding up a roof. Beneath it sits Paradise Island Water Park, not just the beach you saw earlier, but a full 250,000 square meter complex. That's the entire water park, 18 water slides, multiple wave pools capable of handling 6,000 people simultaneously, and that artificial beach with real imported sand. Above the water, a massive LED screen projects sunsets, sunrises, clouds, even thunderstorms. The system uses over 2 million individual LED pixels to create artificial weather on demand. You could spend an entire day here and never see the real sky. Then there's the Intercontinental Hotel. 975 rooms spread across multiple floors, each one overlooking either the water park or the city outside. The hotel alone would be a major construction project. Here, it's just one piece. An ice rink that hosts professional competitions, an IMAX theater with 14 screens, over 400,000 square meters of retail space housing more than 200 stores. All of this, the roof span, the climate control, the water park, the hotel, the retail, was built in just 3 years. To understand how insane that timeline is, the Pentagon took 4 years to build. Burj Khalifa took 6. The idea wasn't just to build big. It was to create a place so complete, so self-contained, that you wouldn't need to leave. Work in the offices above, shop in the corridors, sleep in the hotel, spend your weekend at the beach. A city inside a city. Everything under one continuous roof. When it opened, it was officially the largest standalone building in the world by floor area. Nothing on Earth was bigger under a single roof. Today, it still holds that record. New Century Global Center remains the world's largest single-structure building. But by total floor area, when you count multi-building complexes, it ranks third. 2 megastructures have larger combined space: Russia's Avtovaz factory complex and China's New Luoxian Trade Center, a sprawling development with over 50 separate buildings. Why build a building this massive? To answer that, you need to understand Chengdu in the late 2000s. Chengdu, capital of Sichuan province, 14 million people, important regionally, sure, but it wasn't Shanghai, it wasn't Beijing, it wasn't Shenzhen. While China's coastal cities were racing into the 21st century, Chengdu sat 1,500 kilometers inland, quietly growing, waiting for its moment. Then came China's Go West policy. Beijing wanted to develop the interior provinces to spread the wealth beyond the coast, and Chengdu was chosen to lead that charge. In 2010, Forbes predicted Chengdu would be the fastest growing city of the next decade. Fortune 500 companies started setting up operations: Intel, IBM, Dell, Cisco, Hewlett-Packard, Microsoft, Lenovo. All of them opened facilities in Chengdu. The numbers tell the story. Between 2010 and 2020, Chengdu added nearly 6 million people, more than the entire population of Finland. The GDP more than tripled, foreign investment poured in by the billions. This was the moment the Chinese government went all in. In 2014, they approved Tianfu New Area, 1,578 square kilometers of planned urban development, 3 cities, 7 districts, 37 towns. Xi Jinping himself called it an important node in the Belt and Road Initiative. But the building didn't just happen. Behind it was a man named Deng Hong. Deng Hong ran the entertainment and travel group, and he had a vision: build something the world had never seen, not just the largest building in China, the largest single building on Earth. Construction began in 2010. The target? Completion before the Fortune Global Forum came to Chengdu in June 2013, an international conference themed China's New Future. The building would showcase Chengdu's arrival, China's interior rising to meet the world. To pull it off, Deng mobilized an army, over 100,000 workers, couples, families, entire villages from across Sichuan province, drawn by the promise of work on what was being called the project of the century. Building the New Century Global Center wasn't just ambitious, it was borderline impossible. Think about what they were attempting: 1.76 million square meters in 3 years. The design came from ADP, a Paris-based firm that specializes in airports. That choice makes sense. Airports and this building share similar challenges. Construction began with the foundation. Unlike a skyscraper that goes deep, this building spreads wide across a footprint measuring 500 by 400 meters. That's 200,000 square meters at the base. The foundation system likely used a combination of shallow spread footings and pile caps, distributing the building's weight across this massive footprint rather than concentrating it on deep pilings. The concrete work alone would have been staggering. For a base this size, you're looking at tens of thousands of cubic meters of reinforced concrete, poured in sections to prevent cracking from thermal expansion, with expansion joints strategically placed throughout. Then came the steel superstructure. The challenge with a building this wide is minimizing internal columns. You want open space, especially for the water park below. That means using long-span steel trusses and beams, some likely prefabricated as complete sections and lifted into place by tower cranes. And this is Chengdu, humid, frequently rainy. Early on, humidity caused real clouds to form inside the building. Actual clouds. Visible condensation accumulating near the ceiling. Engineers had to install specialized ventilation systems to stop it from raining indoors, a problem most buildings never face. As the structure rose to its full 100 meters and 18 stories, another massive challenge emerged: vertical transportation. Moving materials, workers, and eventually thousands of daily visitors through a building this vast required an enormous investment in elevators and escalators. The final count? 161 elevators and 142 escalators, all supplied by a single manufacturer to ensure compatibility and maintenance efficiency. To put that in perspective, many shopping malls have 10 to 20 escalators. This building needed 142. Some of those escalators were particularly challenging, with lifting heights reaching 21 meters, nearly the height of a 7-story building. The exterior envelope came together in stages. The 45,100 square meters of blue-tinted glass curtain wall had to be installed from the outside in. Panels hung on the structural frame, each one sealed against weather, each joint calculated for thermal expansion and building movement. And on July 1st, 2013, the New Century Global Center opened its doors. The largest standalone building on Earth, delivered on schedule and in record time. But that speed came at a cost, because when you're building this fast, when corners need cutting to meet deadlines, when powerful people are pressuring for completion, decisions get made that prioritize schedule over everything else. And while engineers were racing to finish construction, another structure was being built in the shadows. At the center was Li Chuncheng, Chengdu's deputy mayor, then party secretary, ruthless, connected, and closely tied to Deng Hong, the build owner. And here's how the land deal worked. The land beneath the global center should have cost $4.6 million per hectare. Instead, Deng acquired it for just $660,000 to $1.2 million, less than a third of market value. Farmers who lived there were forced out with inadequate compensation. Li facilitated it all, bypassing zoning restrictions, expediting approvals, clearing obstacles. But Li wasn't operating alone. He was part of a network led by Zhou Yongkang, a member of China's Politburo Standing Committee, one of the most powerful men in the country. When Xi Jinping came to power, dismantling this network became a priority. December 2012. With the building nearly complete, Li Chongcheng became the first official of his rank to fall under investigation. February 2013, Deng Hong was detained at Chengdu Airport. Over 50 government officials and CEOs were arrested in the following months. Li Chongcheng received 13 years for taking $6.3 million in bribes. His wife and daughter were implicated. Zhou Yongkang, the network's architect, received life in prison and forfeited $14.5 billion in assets. Xi Jinping had made good on his promise. No tigers or flies was safe. And Deng Hong? He was behind bars in a detention center in Xianing, where he'd remain for 14 months. When the New Century Global Center opened its doors, there was no ceremony, no celebration, no government officials in attendance, because any spotlight on the building would have illuminated the scandal. But the building struggled. By 2014, less than a year after opening, less than a third of the retail space was rented. The far corridors sat empty, dusty, shuttered, forgotten. To attract tenants, rents were slashed by up to 70%. As of 2025, it's still operational. The water park still draws crowds, especially during holidays when families pack the artificial beach. The Intercontinental Hotel is open. Over 200 shops line the corridors, a mix of international and Chinese brands. But nobody's calling it a success. Chengdu's overall shopping mall vacancy rate sits around 10.7%, relatively healthy for a Chinese city, but the global center's occupancy data? Not published, which usually means one thing: the numbers aren't good. It functions, people work there, tourists visit, but the building operates well below capacity. Vast sections underutilized, revenue targets never met. And it likely still requires government subsidies just to keep the lights on. This is, without question, an engineering achievement, the largest standalone building on Earth. But it's also a monument to what happens when ambition outpaces accountability, when speed matters more than transparency, when powerful connections replace proper process. In the end, the New Century Global Center is exactly what its name suggests: a symbol of China in the 21st century. Ambitious, impressive, built at record speed, and carrying the weight of everything that was compromised to make it happen. What do you think? Could a building like this be built today? Would you want to visit it? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want to see more stories about the world's most ambitious construction projects, make sure you're subscribed to MegaBuilds. Hit that notification bell so you never miss our next video.